Crossover buyers have really evolved over the last 5 to 10 years, where they're no longer just looking for practicality, interior space, or just a vehicle that is going to be tech focused. They're now looking for vehicles that are rugged, that are sporty, that are fun, even though they'll never take their vehicles off-road and they're not going to be going 9 or 10 tenths all the time. And Chevrolet is now giving us a vehicle that is going to appeal to those buyers with the all-new 2025 Chevrolet Equinox. Now, we do have the RS trim today, which gives us some of those sportier elements, the lower profile look, and also a vehicle that does look rather rugged with the squared off design. And in today's video, we're going to check out what the RS has to offer below $40,000 and see how it compares to other vehicles in this market, and why, if you are looking at buying a daily driver right now for you and your family, maybe taking a look at the RS might be a great decision. Now, before we get in this video, I want to give a huge shout and thank you to Copeland Chevrolet here in Hudson, Massachusetts for inviting me out here to check out the Chevrolet Equinox. Their link will be in the description below, so you can check out their extensive Chevrolet inventory. So as always, let's begin with pricing. For 2025, with the Chevrolet Equinox RS, you're looking at a starting cost of just over $36,000, which is mostly due in part to the fact that all-wheel drive is a $2,000 option even for the RS. You would think that for a top trim, all-wheel drive would come standard, but that unfortunately just isn't the case. Now, with the RS badge, you're thinking, all right, this is going to be a sporty vehicle, it's going to be a sports crossover. If you were to go with front-wheel drive, you get a CVT, and that leaves a lot more to be desired. So I would say go with the all-wheel drive system for the better year-round capability and versatility, and also that 8-speed automatic transmission, which is brand new for this generation, and we'll talk about that later on in this video. Now, with the Chevrolet Equinox for 2025, it's all about the exterior appearance. And what I've noticed here is that with the boxier shape, with the squared off design, it looks more rugged and capable, and that would go hand in hand with the Active. But with the RS, you get a different type of persona. You get some gloss black elements for the front and rear bumpers, the gloss black side mirror caps, gloss black front grille with that strip that runs through the front fascia. It looks really nice here, and I think adds a nice color contrast here with the Reef Blue metallic paint color that is available for the RS. And that is one thing that Chevrolet is doing very well with right now, is giving you a nice color palette. Now, up front, you will have LED headlights and LED fog lights. Believe it or not, the fog lights are optional even for the RS. We saw that with the LT, and you would expect that to be standard for the RS, but it is part of an optional package, unfortunately. For the lower portion of the front bumper, you are going to notice the cladding once again, and that is going to be contrasted with those gloss black elements. So you're going to have a sportier look here, but even with the RS, it still has that rugged appeal that some of you might be looking for. And taking a look at the side profile, you are going to receive 19-inch alloy wheels with a two-tone color finish here, which actually looks really nice and sporty. Now, I will say though that with the 19s, it does create a bit more road noise, a bit more harshness when you are driving on some bumpier roads with some imperfections. But still though, what Chevrolet has done to this chassis and platform, you are going to notice that there's a bit more rigidity and refinement here compared to last generation. As I talked about before, you are going to have the gloss black side mirror caps, but surprisingly, no LED turn signal indicators. But you are going to receive blind spot detection for added safety. Then as you make your way around to the back, you are going to notice the LED tail lights here, giving you a nice modern and upscale appearance. Also, some gloss black elements for the badging for the Equinox and all-wheel drive badge. You have your RS badge here, letting you know this is going to be the sportier trim for 2025. And then for the lower portion of the rear bumper, the gloss black trim once again makes its presence known. And what is a bit of a surprise though is that for the sportier trim, the exhaust outlets are not visible either. So I have a feeling that Chevrolet is going to give us a hybrid powertrain at some point for this model. I highly doubt they're going to go all out with this generation for the Equinox and say, you know what, we're not going to give you a hybrid powertrain. Instead, we're just going to give you a full gas-powered model, and if you want some electrification, you have to go all in for that Chevrolet Equinox EV. I just don't think they're going to do that. I think they will give us a hybrid at some point in the future. And while we're taking a look at the rear fascia, might as well go over the cargo area for the 2025 Equinox. So with the RS, you are going to receive a power liftgate. And inside, behind the second row seats, you're looking at right around 30 cubic feet of room, which is a bit of a surprise because last generation offered the same amount of interior space. And with the 2025 model, it is 2 inches wider, but that has no effect on that overall cargo capacity. I was able to fit all my camera gear today, no problem. So I have 3 bags of camera gear, a gimbal box, and a tripod, and there's still a lot more room to stack on other items as well. Now with 30 cubic feet of room, this does fall right in line with the Mazda CX-5 and Nissan Rogue. This isn't the most practical in its segment, however, it should be more than conducive if you do go on road trips throughout the year. Then with the second row seats folded, you're looking at right on 63.5 cubic feet of room. Once again, identical to last year, and should be right in line with other crossovers of this size. And better yet, here with the RS, you are going to receive a spare tire. So if you encounter a flat on those road trips or travels, you can fix that and be back on the road. Hopping inside the RS we have today, we're kind of picking up where we left off with the LT we had featured a couple of days ago, where features aren't too much different, and this is where I'd say that the RS is kind of unnecessary, being that top trim in the lineup, because all you're really getting is some standard equipment here, and of course the aggressive design for the exterior, but nothing too profound that would set this trim apart from the LT, because our model today has dual zone climate control, heated front seats, and the Evo Tex upholstery. And the driver's side has 8-way power adjustability and 2-way lumbar support, whereas the passenger will have to manually find their ideal seating position. So nothing different here compared to the LT that we had just reviewed. However, there are some optional packages. Let's dive into them. So for $950 with the Convenience 3 package, you're going to receive ventilated front seats for both the driver and passenger, but better yet, the passenger also receives 8-way power adjustability and 2-way lumbar support. And the driver's side gets memory seat positioning, and the rear seats are heated. For $950, that alone differentiates the RS from the LT. And I've been asking myself all day, why is the RS not too much different from that LT? Sure, you get the 19-inch wheels, you also get the aggressive appearance of the exterior, but nothing has really felt different here, where I'm like, well, you know, for an extra $2,000, I'd go with an RS instead of going with an LT, but I actually prefer the LT, and the RS has not shown me anything that really makes me think I'd spend close to $38,000 or $39,000 for this trim, but that one package kind of changes everything, doesn't it? Because it gives you a lot more value and definitely adds to the creature comfort for the interior. Now, one thing I do want to say here, though, with the Evo Tex upholstery is that for the RS, these seats are a bit more aggressive, they're firmer, they provide a lot more bolstering and support, and they're not as soft as what you had with the LT. So keep all of that in mind. If you're someone like me questioning whether you should go with an LT or RS, I'd probably steer towards the LT just because of what you have there at around $36,000 for a well-equipped model. Now also, just like we saw with the LT, there is another tech package here that you can go with. So for the safety and technology package, once again for $1,085, you get a digital rear view mirror, AC surround view cameras, so you have a lot of different camera angles to work with, rear pedestrian alert, traffic sign recognition, and then of course those LED fog lights. You're still going to have the 11-inch digital gauge cluster and also the Android-based software here for the infotainment system. Now, of course, you are going to have the Google Maps, Google Assistant, Google Play Store, and Alexa. So again, from a feature standpoint, no difference here. Now, with the digital gauge cluster, if you are new to this vehicle and you didn't watch the LT review, the resolution and quality is really good. I mean, Chevrolet has always struggled, or really should say GM, has struggled with technology in the past. And I think now they're finally getting into this groove where you're getting technology that is on par with its closest rivals. I think technology-wise, or just the resolution, seems to be on par with Volkswagen, Honda, Toyota, and Ford. And that's really all you could ask for. Now, I will say, though, that with this screen, it's not really intuitive or in-depth. You can customize the layout a bit, where you can have the Google Maps displayed. Also, you can go with more of a minimal layout. I will say, though, that in regards to its intuitiveness, this would be on par with what you have with Toyota. So I think really what Chevrolet's doing right now is actually they're moving in the right direction, which is exactly what they needed, especially for the second half of this decade. Then taking a look at the infotainment system very briefly, same layout as what we saw with the LT. You have all your widgets here in place, and you can easily access different menus, and you can check out vehicle settings and safety settings very quickly from this screen. Now, you can also adjust your climate control settings from this head unit, but I don't think that's necessary since you do have your dual zone climate control buttons and also the AC, front and rear defrosters, fan speed, fan direction, and heated front seats below. And to have physical buttons in 2025, that is huge. Returning to the screen though, on the left side of the head unit, you are going to have quick access icons to get your different menus, such as your Bluetooth, your maps, your music, and then also, of course, your vehicle settings and safety features, such as your dome light, power window lockout, camera, traction control, auto high beams, front fog lights, and park assist features. You can go more in depth on this during your own time and at your own discretion. One key difference here though compared to the LT is that you are going to have a drive mode selector for normal, off-road, and snow and ice, so you will have a bit more confidence taking on some snow-covered roadways here with the RS, and then obviously with the Active with the all-terrain tires. Then for the camera system, since we do have the safety and technology package equipped, we have a plethora of camera angles, a rear backup camera with trajectory, top view camera with trajectory, then also front and rear bumper cams, and then side cameras for your front wheel, so that way you don't scrape your 19s when you are on some city streets, parking on some city streets, or maybe even if you are in a tight garage. You have a lot of visibility here, giving you that safety aspect that you're looking for out of a daily driver such as this. Making our way towards the center console, you will find a USB-C and USB-A outlet, also a nice storage compartment for some smaller items, maybe a couple wallets or smartphones. You're going to find your wireless phone charging pad for the center console itself. Then you have two cup holders. Next to that will be your drive mode selector. Then finally, for the center storage compartment, there's plenty of room for smaller items, and as I talked about with the LT, you could store a couple water bottles back here, which you don't typically have that ability for a lot of compact crossovers in this market. So that's a really nice touch. Then wrapping up the front seating area for our model, like I said before, we don't have the dual pane sunroof, but that is optional for about $1,500. Then for passengers in the back, in regards to being a family-friendly crossover, the Equinox does not fall short in any way, shape, or form, at least for the second row. You're looking at right around 39 inches of legroom, which falls right in line with a lot of vehicles in this segment. And for a crossover of its size, it's pretty substantial here. Now, also on top of all of this, with the legroom, you have a lot of headroom as well. With the higher roofline, the traditional SUV look, taller passengers won't be hitting their head on the headliner. Even better, like we saw with the LT, there's no center hump, so you can squeeze in a third person in the center for those longer drives. Some rivals don't give you that ability, so what you're going to notice here with the Equinox across all three trims is that there is some versatility and flexibility in that regard. Also, with the EvoTex upholstery, these seats are really comfortable, they're plush and supportive, so I think that on those longer drives, people will not be complaining about back pain or feeling fatigued at all. Just like I talked about earlier on, when we checked out the packages, you can go with heated outboard seats. That's not equipped on our model today, unfortunately, but that is there, and I think that would be a great choice to go with. For under $1,000 to have the power adjustable front seats, the heated outboard seats for the rear, that will go a long way. That would be my choice for sure if I was looking at buying an RS. Also back here, you will have two rear air vents to go along with two USB-C inputs. And then to round out the second row seating area, you do get a center armrest with two cup holders. And lastly, for 2025, you are going to receive a 1.5-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, producing 175 horsepower and 203 pound-feet of torque. It is paired with an 8-speed automatic transmission, since our model has all-wheel drive. Now, you could go with a CVT, but I wouldn't recommend that if you're looking for a vehicle that is going to feel a bit more sporty and spry, although this is the exact same engine across all three trims for the model year. And I am a bit surprised by that, because you would think with the RS you would get something a bit more unique, but that just isn't the case. Now, I will say though that it seems to me that for 2025 that Chevrolet is consolidating the trim. So they dropped the LS, now the LT is, in a way, I think the best trim to go with. I think you could really spec that out to about $36,000, which is the starting price for an RS, and you know, I think the LT kind of is the way to go, unless you're going to go with optional packages for the RS, which gives you some ventilated seats and then also heated rear outboard seats. That gives you a bit more value under 40 grand, but if you're someone who doesn't want to get close to that $40,000 mark, you might be happier with that LT. Now, also with the RS, you got the 19-inch wheels, and those come standard. And I do notice that there is a bit of a difference in regards to the ride quality compared to the 17s that come standard on the LT. The 19s do create a bit more road noise, and I also noticed that there's a bit more harshness to the ride quality as well, but that would be typical since that is a bit of a leap in regards to the tire size. Now, in regards to how this vehicle feels and performs and just the overall quality, this is far and away better than last generation. That can't be disputed. Because in regards to the interior quality, just the dashboard layout, even these seats, far more comfortable than what you had last year with the RS or even a Premier. So I think that if you're someone looking to upgrade, looking to upsize maybe from a Trax or a Trailblazer, I think you're going to like what the Equinox is providing. It's just that compared to other crossovers in this segment, there usually is a differentiation between the trims. Not so much, unless you're comparing an LT to an Active, where the Active has all-terrain tires. If you're someone who does live in colder regions of the US and you deal with a lot of snow-covered roadways, or you just go off-road, that would be the better choice. The RS has this lower profile appearance, this sportier look that I think is definitely going to draw in a younger consumer demographic. It's just that I think that if you're someone looking to get the most value and the most features for your buck, I would say just go with the LT. The LT gives you a lot right now for 2025, although with the RS you get some cooler colors for the exterior like we have here today. I will say though that I really do like this steering wheel. The leather wrap steering wheel feels really nice in the hands, and actually, maybe this is just anecdotal. The steering input for the RS feels a bit lighter and smoother compared to the LT. The LT had a very weighted steering. This feels a bit more active and engaging to me, and does pair up with this vehicle's on-road attributes where, yes, you are going to notice the body roll. There's going to be some of that roll in the corner. You're not going to have the connectivity like you would find with a sports crossover. The steering input for the RS, though, kind of matches this vehicle's demeanor and makes it a bit more engaging and enjoyable to drive. I do like this 1.5-liter turbo. Very peppy and quick. Now, of course, 0 to 60 times come in just below 9 seconds, so not the fastest vehicle out there. However, I am thoroughly impressed with how quiet this 1.5-liter four-cylinder is. I was expecting it to be a bit more audible, a little louder, but that just isn't the case. Now, for interior insulation, I think Chevrolet has done a great job with this vehicle because you don't hear a lot of that outside world, even at around 45 miles an hour. Even with the larger tires, yes, it creates a bit more of that road noise on the highway, but in the suburbs, not so much at all. The only difference, though, is that when you are in the suburbs, you're going to notice that when you go over the bumps and imperfections, you feel them just a bit more. Now, one question I did pose with the title of this video, but then also throughout this review, is that, is the RS necessary? Is it necessary to go higher up in the trim levels for the Chevrolet Equinox? And this is something that I've gone back and forth on all day, because I think the LT is the better option. I truly believe that. It's just that if you're going to go all out with the packages and features, then go with the Convenience Package 3. For $950, you get the ventilated front seats, you get the heated outboard seats. There's something a little different there, At least you have some of the creature comforts that you're not going to find on the LT. It's just that with an LT, if you go all out, you can spend around $36,000, and I think that's a better choice. I really think that's a better choice. While some journalists have disagreed and said going with the Active and the RS would be better, the LT, you can go all out and still get those 17s, and your ride quality is a bit better. It's just that with the RS, you get a sportier looking vehicle. So it's all going to come down to your personal preferences here. But either way, across all three trims, Chevrolet has done a really great job with this new generation. This chassis, the suspension, this platform, it feels so much more refined. There's more rigidity to the suspension as well. You feel that. And that will go a long way as to where the Equinox is going to place in its segment and how it compares to its rivals. Chevrolet now is being a bit more conscientious with their vehicles. I'm noticing that with the Trax and then also with the Traverse. They're really putting a lot of effort in these crossovers now, and they didn't do that before. I look at the exterior of the Equinox and I'm like, this has a nice design to it. It's competitive in terms of looks. And then for the interior, the full digital gauge cluster, the infotainment system, the Google-based software here, even the interior quality, this really could give a Volkswagen Tiguan, a Toyota RAV4, a Honda CR-V a run for its money, especially the full gas powered model CR-Vs. I do think though that Chevrolet needs to give us a hybrid trim and maybe give us a hybrid powertrain and drop into the RS. If you give us a hybrid powertrain for this particular trim, I see the value now with the RS badge. Although, as I've been here for a couple hours checking out the Equinox, there's been a few buyers that have come in and have taken a good long look at the RS. In fact, a few people have taken them out for a test drive. So I think there is something to it, this vehicle, that a lot of buyers are interested in, which is a very good sign for Chevrolet moving forward, because this vehicle has traditionally always kind of been in the middle of the pack, where I think now, this could be a standout. I'm going to say that it could be a standout. I've driven a lot of vehicles in this market, and the Equinox is surprising me quite a bit today. We're going to have an opportunity to put the power down here. Not bad. Not bad at all. Now, I'm not even going full throttle there. Pretty smooth acceleration. You do notice a turbo lag, though. That's to be expected. But pretty smooth power band. On the brakes, nice and strong. Not too bad here. Nice. Very nice. Yeah, so off the line, obviously it's not going to be a barnstormer, but certainly more responsive than a full gas powered CR-V. Ultimately, I'm pretty impressed here with this vehicle. I think Chevrolet has done exactly what they needed to do with this model to make it competitive and to close the gap a bit between them and their rivals. Because like I said before, that old Equinox, just didn't feel competitive in this segment. It didn't have the attributes or the qualities that you would look at it and say, you know what, I'd rather go with an Equinox over, say a Subaru Forester or Ford Escape. I think now, especially on the lower end with the LT, when you're comparing this to other vehicles with lower powered turbos or naturally aspirated 4 cylinders, it's definitely in line with them for sure. And on top of that, for a Turbo 4, and especially a lower powered Turbo 4, it doesn't make a lot of noise. Even when you're on throttle, it doesn't drone, doesn't make that obnoxious 4-cylinder note. Really, really impressive here. And really, for a market that is so oversaturated, and for a vehicle that has changed so much within just one generation, this is a crossover that lost that stale feeling that you had for last generation. And I think now, with its adventurous look, with its aggressiveness, the fact you can't go with the active with the all-terrain tires, this is going to draw in buyers who completely overlooked the Equinox in the past. And I personally think now it is a worthy competitor and a worthy option in this market. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this quick review for the 2025 Chevrolet Equinox RS. If you did, please like, comment, share, and subscribe for more. Also, to answer the ultimate question of whether this trim really is necessary, I think it is. It's just that you have to go with the optional packages to differentiate the RS from the LT. And I do think, though, that in the future, Chevrolet does need to drop in a hybrid powertrain. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below. But guys, once again, thanks so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys next time.